And welcome back to another episode of Black Law and Legal Lies, where I specialize in the law. I don't know what Dan specializes in. He's still trying to figure it out. He's finding himself. please, please follow the show across every social media platform at Black Law Podcast. You can follow me at I Tell Legal Lies on Twitter. You can follow Dan home if you want. He loves it when women follow
Paper
him
brown,
home too, I think.
paper bag test, paper bag test.
Not a paper bag test. All right, where can they find you?
Let's see, Monday through Friday,
Oh,
you can
Lord.
find me at Planet Fitness because it's only $10 a month. You
Mm.
can keep up with me on Twitter and IG at I am Dan on Drugs, and of course, as Ann said, show across all platforms at Black Law Podcast.
I think I said that. You're right.
And I
Okay,
said as
so
you said. Okay,
man,
let's go.
shut up. So today we have with us three guests: Sherry and Cherry Wilmore, also known
Hello.
as everybody's favorite twins,
Yes, we are.
and Y'mani Wright, also known as my little cousin
Yes,
that I love so much. No.
I love you
All right.
too.
Ah!
Hold on, y'all. I'm trying to comb my hair so I can get on video.
Wait, what? Wait, the show already started, man. We already record. What you talking about?
Okay.
Man, let her comb my hair. Let her comb my hair. Shit.
Okay,
The more faces, the better.
When you want to come in with video, that'd be awesome.
I'll superimpose some shit.
Okay, so today our topic is going to be all over the place, actually. We are actually going to be talking about protests and whether or not peaceful protests actually work. We're also going to be talking about black on black crime and why Dan thinks black on black crime is basically
it's a racist
construct.
Yes, it is.
Agreed, Dan.
100%.
So, all right. So, in light of what's going on, basically what's been going on since we landed on Plymouth Rock and Plymouth Rock landed on us.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Malcolm.
The vilification, the objectification of black and brown people. And today we're talking about peaceful protest versus any other kind of protest and the effectiveness of it, because we are seeing in cities across the United States are basically going up in flames. And they're going up in flames because, as usual, the black man has been you enjoy the fact that cities across the United States are going up in flames?
Real quick, right? So while you're on the topic, let's just kind of get everyone's quick hot take on what is currently going on, because today, the day of recording, is what, Friday? The protest started yesterday, Thursday, and they are burning shit to the ground. Now
the protest started hundreds of years ago. This is
the most recent
continuation.
So with as per every event like this, you'll have certain like subsets of black folks, because as I said, we are not monoliths. Some of them saying, yo, man, that's senseless, burning down all that shit. Y'all destroying your community, jobs in your neighborhood. Man, fuck them jobs. Because they burning down, what, Target?
No, they weren't. See, that's the thing.
I'm just using that as an example.
But Minneapolis, they didn't just burn down Target. They burned down black-owned businesses. But continue, because that's what I have a problem with. But continue.
Yeah, and again, like I said, there's subgroups of black people that have different problems with different things. The one thing we can all agree on is that something needs to be done about this. So we have tried the peaceful route. We've tried get out there and vote. Get out there and vote. Like that shit don't do nothing. Our elected officials are doing nothing. They have empty promises for the black community. So it's like for every action, there's a reaction. This is the reaction of the black men, black women being killed and there being no consequences. So basically, if I walk up to you, slap you in the face, I can't dictate what your response to that is going to be. So if they want to burn the shit down, burn the shit down. That's my
That's your
take.
take. That's
Yeah.
your take. All right, twins, your take.
Okay, so my take is this: as people love to quote Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King told you that riots is the reaction of the voice of the unheard. So it's not surprising when riots occur if you haven't listened or are willing to hear what someone has to say. However, I am appalled when I see us burning down things, because when we did it in the 50s and the 60s, we destroyed our own communities, and a lot of those businesses, a lot of those strong storefronts were strongholds of the community. And in doing so, we weaken the Black community as a whole. And we have a tendency, for whatever reason, to destroy our own things instead of directing it in a place or in an area where it can bring true change. Burning down your own neighborhood isn't going to do anything, because it's your neighborhood, and if you say that they don't care about you, how do you think that they're going to care about your neighborhood getting rebuilt?
Right.
So that's where I struggle at in regard to looting and rioting. I understand it, because I get that if you do me something, you can't then dictate how I respond to you. I do not believe in that. But then if you tell somebody who's kneeling peacefully that they're doing it wrong, then I'm going to riot. And then they're not going to listen to you to say be peaceful, because when you were peaceful, you was told that the way you was being peaceful was incorrect. So I always battle with myself in that regard. What's your take, Sherry? I don't like the verbiage I use. Why are we saying riots? Are they riots? What are they? I'm just asking, are they riots? Well, what are they? It's property damage.
I like that. Let's go with that. Minor vandalism.
It's property damage. At the end of the day, it's property damage. Because I want people to realize that the verbiage that people use dictate their response. And we all know this, right? If like for example, a woman in Central Park, what did she say? A Black man and Black African American is attacking me, threatening me, right?
And my dog. That's what.
It's the verbiage that you use dictates how people see something. If you tell a story, the words in which you use dictate people's response. If I tell you, hey, there was some property damage at my business, there was some property damage. If I say, there was a riot, that gets a different feeling, it gets a different emotion. And we have to be very cautious on how we word the things that happen in our community. Others can dictate it, but how do you view it and how do you word it? Because when people went marching in the same Minneapolis city that you see now on fire because they didn't want to stay at home because the virus was out, no one said that they was rioting, and they had guns that they carried into the state capitol. So in the very same city. Mm-hmm. And what did they say? They said they were just they just want to get back to work. They're just people. They're just people, average people who just want to get back to work. So what do you call the people? There are average people who are just tired of being sick and tired. Even Jesus flipped over a table in the Bible. I think people keep forgetting that. Jesus walked in that church and people were collecting taxes, and he flipped it all over. If Jesus get mad, you don't think other people get mad? I'm just asking. So what they So what they doing in Minneapolis? They're average people. There are average people flipping over tables like Jesus. They're just sick and tired. They're just tired. And let me tell you something. most of this wouldn't have happened had Minneapolis officials that acted sooner. If I kneel on somebody's back and they die, I don't have to wait 4 days for people to decide whether or not I committed a crime.
Well, no, that's because but that's because we're talking you in personally, you're a black person. Had a black person done that, you would have been in jail that night. And then they would have tried to figure out whether or not you committed a crime.
It didn't take that long for them to arrest the black Somalian who accidentally shot a wealthy white woman.
A white woman, correct.
It didn't take them that long. I think if you heard people talk, people were frustrated. And I want you to be very careful when we say we burned down our community. We didn't burn down our community. I watched a plenty live that night. And there was a white man and some white men who broke the windows out of AutoZone, who didn't put wood up and set it afire. And allegedly, the white man with the mask is an undercover police officer. So
I saw that same thing.
We have to be very conscious of when we say we burned down our community, because most people was marching. And we
I saw that same thing.
Are you sure we set that police station on fire? Because I didn't see black people set it on fire. So
well, I'm not going to say. What I can say is that in every mass protest, when there's a mob, there's always outside agitators.
Yes. So we have to be
in
very
every situation.
Continue, yeah.
Oh no, I was just saying what I was just saying. What Sherry, to just piggyback and springboard off of what Cherry was saying. Every large protest, there's always somebody outside of that group that is looking to basically vilify. I like I said at the top of the show, we are vilified in everything that you do. And I'm glad you brought up these people who marched into the state capitol with guns. They were spitting on police officers. Nobody died.
Doing COVID.
Right. Nobody got shot. And I think about if that same amount of black people would have walked into the Capitol with guns strapped on their back and spit on police officers, most of them probably would have died in the state Capitol.
Well, you don't have to think about it. All you have to know is that there was a peaceful protest that was happening in Minnesota on Tuesday night, and the police officers they officers' response at that moment. The officers' response at the moment was to come out fully geared with tear gas and rubber bullets. Nobody ever came out there to speak, and sometimes we have to be very mindful because leadership matters, words matter, verbiage matters. And when you don't have leadership from the federal government, your presidency, and then you don't have leadership from your state government, who do the people listen to? Sometimes you need someone just calm the fears. And if you don't have anyone to calm it, then you have continual unrest. And firing them was great, but I see people get fired and their jobs get killed. You have to have a certain type of understanding and trust that nothing will happen to you for you to continue to have your knee on someone's neck for 8+ minutes without any care to move it and you being video recorded.
Yo, did y'all see his face while he had his knee on Mr. Floyd's neck? Did y'all see the face?
I didn't watch the video for my own mental well-being because we just
he knew what he was doing.
We had Breon. I could not watch another black person die. We had the guy this week who friends had the bet about the car who jumped into the bayou, jumped into the pond to run across. I just couldn't see another black person lose their life this week.
So wait, what happened with the bayou? I'm not aware of that.
Okay, can I say something? I'm so happy we speaking on this bayou thing because I let everybody speak, but when I speak on my personal experience on this, that's going to tie into like my thoughts about what black people we should do for each other. So please go on about the pond story.
Okay, so earlier this week, a black guy and his friends were out. He was 19 years old. He had just recently graduated, was on his way to a full ride scholarship to D1 University, 7-month-old baby.
him and his friends were outside. His friends decided to bet him to swim across a pond.
And they kept antagonizing.
They went all the way to the point that they would pay him for a down payment on a car that he apparently wanted a car. They would do the down payment if he was able to swim across the bayou. They was like, "I'll jump in if you have any trouble." You can tell he was very much being pressured,
and he didn't want to do
it. And he didn't want to do it because he was being pressured. And I guess he felt it wouldn't be man of him to turn down the pressure. He went and he attempted to swim across the bayou. The pond. He drowns. You literally watch him drown to death trying to swim.
So nobody jumped in. Nobody jumped in to save him.
No, now this is the thing. This is what they said we didn't see, because you see him flaring his arms because he's almost to the end when he starts to really struggle. You see him flaring his arms and then the foam drops. Now, apparently, according to other people who were present, his friends do start taking off their clothes to jump in to try to save him. By that point, they would never have got there in time. So then you watch another 35 minutes of first responders trying to drag a pond to find his body.
Well, I think the most troubling thing about it all was that his brother was one of the people who was pressuring him to jump in the pond.
And so then his brother watches him die.
His brother is older than him, and he's one of the people. He's one of the main people who's. And then they're also teaching.
Where was this?
Being too big. It was this weekend. His name was
Wait.
Oh God. This was like
where?
Monday or Tuesday.
Where?
Yeah.
But where did it happen?
If I'm not mistaken, in Mississippi.
Mississippi. I will have to go back and watch and pull up the video. Because it's a 10-minute video and then there's another 35 minutes.
Isn't his name Desmond? I think it is.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly, but I know it didn't get much exposure because so much happened this week. We got Breonna Taylor, we had people still jogging for Ahmaud. So it just was a lot of things happen, and it just shows us then when every day.
It's just like Breonna is not getting as much attention, and I think if you're a gun owner, if people, let me tell you something. That's why you gotta be very mindful of what people say that they support. If the NRA is very quiet about Breonna Taylor's murder, but the police entered her and her fiance's home, her boyfriend's home, using a no-knock warrant. The boyfriend aimed to defend the home. Shot at them. The police returned fire, shooting her 8 times. Her boyfriend was arrested for her murder. And none of the police were held accountable.
We actually discussed accountable. Right. No, we discussed her story. So
yeah, but what I'm saying is
definitely talked about.
No, I'm saying is you gotta be very confident. What I'm saying is you have to be very conscious of who is telling the story, because the NRA will tell you that they are for protecting Second Amendment rights of gun owners. And her boyfriend was a lawful gun owner, but you don't see the NRA sending any funds, any lawyers to protect him. And they're the first people who send funds for police officers who are in situations like Derek Chauvin. So that's why I think
I have a question. How does Derek Chauvin
that's 100% true.
How does Derek Chauvin afford 2 homes, one in Minneapolis and a vacation home in Florida on a $60,000 salary? Can somebody answer?
I'm sure he does more than just
man, them police officers get details.
Daytime job.
Shit, them details is like double time.
Like, yeah. He was detailing at nightclub. The nightclub on matter of fact, not only was he detailing at a nightclub, George Floyd did a detail, was providing security at the same nightclub. The owner of the nightclub actually spoke about.
They worked together for 17 years.
Right, they spoke of. She spoke about that. For 17 years. I don't know about 17 years, but I know that she said that they worked together. They worked together because it was a Latin club, but it used to have urban nights. And
that's code word for black night.
Correct. It used to have urban nights, and the police officer actually did a detail, and they would call George Floyd in to come and do security during urban night. So
So check this real quick because I want to get Y'mani's thoughts on what is going on, but I literally forgot what I was about to say.
oh geez.
However, I'm gonna wing it here.
All right.
So the cops in that case were charged today. I guess it was announced they're charged today
Only
with
one. Only
right,
one.
the main one.
Mhm.
Charged with third-degree murder.
And
Now
manslaughter.
for those that aren't really familiar with the different degrees of murder, could you provide any insight as to what's the difference? I know like what murder one is. This
Well,
is
I
what I
can tell you.
plan to do and intend to do.
Well, see, that's the thing. In Louisiana, we don't technically have like first, second, and third degree like most other states. But in the state of, well, in the state of Minnesota, third degree murder is basically depraved indifference, or so basically you did something, not that you intended, but you did something that a reasonable person would say that it would lead to your death.
So you
So
accidentally
that's
killed
what,
somebody.
right. Well,
But
Hmm.
it's not
no, because
manslaughter.
manslaughter is basically your negligent action
Right.
caused somebody to die. That both of them has no intent factor. So that's the reason why they went with third degree.
But there was
But
clear intent.
well,
But
here's the
they're
thing.
saying that you didn't read the report, because if you read the report, then you will see that the reason why they did third degree is because they're saying that George killed himself. If you
No.
read the
Wait,
autopsy, the
no.
autopsy is
Wait.
saying that
Let me nope,
he didn't die from
nope,
strangulation, right?
nope. Let me clarify.
Okay.
Let me clarify. So what the coroner said was that there was no signs of asphyxiation, because everybody is saying the reason why he died is because they cut off his breath, right? So the
Okay.
the coroner's report said that there was no signs of asphyxiation that they can tell, but that he had underlying um morbidity. So he had high blood pressure, and uh, apparently he had some sort of alcohol or drugs in his system. That is what the coroner's report says.
Okay.
But that is not the reason why they are saying third degree. The thing is, they had to do something. They had to move,
Okay.
because they knew that if they did not move, that the city would go burn to the ground with the way things were going. So they needed to make a move. And the easiest thing for them to do was to say, we're going to take him in and third degree and manslaughter. That does not mean that those are the final charges.
Absolutely.
This can escalate. And the reason why it's going to escalate, because in that same report, apparently and I'm saying they because if y'all saw the other video that
It was
came out,
4.
three of them
Three. Yeah.
sat on this man. So,
Mhm.
and not only did they sit on him, they sat on him. At some point, realized that he was unresponsive, checked his pulse, did not find that there was a pulse, but nobody tried to administer any sort of life saving anything. But so
So
what the report
can
says
the
is,
medics be implicated as well?
well, I think at the point where EMT showed up, he was already dead.
Me too.
So they didn't try to administer life saving anything, because there was no saving him. Because realize, if you read the report, or from what I've heard about the report, it says that they sat on this man for almost 9 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
They said
Three
8 plus 43 minutes. 8 minutes and
right
43. Yeah.
three almost 3 minutes, like 2 minutes and 53 seconds of which he was unresponsive. So that's why I said look for more charges, because sure, you may not have intended to kill this man in this 6-minute time span, but at the point where he is no longer responsive and you still spend 2, almost 3 more minutes sitting on top of his, not only his neck, you're compressing his chest and everything else. At the point that you do that, you intend, and you know that he is unresponsive and you don't react to that, that's your intent. So watch for it. It's
Now
gonna move up.
let's get Y'mani in on this conversation. So what are your thoughts?
Okay,
Hey.
so I have a lot of thoughts on what is going on. Mind you, they say the future is through the eyes of our children. So I was really young, maybe 16, 15 when the Trayvon Martin thing happened. I'm happy my cousin spoke on a lot of these laws, because when the Trayvon Martin thing happened, we were outraged, but that prosecution team did change his charges from first degree to child abuse. So when we speak about like the results we get from our movements, when we speak about the results we get in justice, we must know that we have to be thorough from the cop all the way down to the people who are fighting for our justice, whether that be the lawyers, whether that be the prosecution team, whether that's the jurors and the judge. So when you realize that the system is broken all the way down to that core, it makes a young person like me say, maybe I don't necessarily want to be a part of the movement, because in a sense it's just like, okay, we have a lot of outrage. We know that the white people can go and riot for the beach and then we'll be protected, but we know that Black lives are not treated in the same regard. This is things I've learned and conditioning throughout my lifehood. When I went to high school, if the white girls wore white high shorts, it was okay. But if the thick Black girls with the thick thighs wore those shorts, you were going to in-school suspension. You were getting written up for dress code. It's never been a time that although Black people and white people operate the same space, we can move the same way. Now we must mitigate, because although we have these technicalities, is no way ever should a cop have me in handcuffs already and he's still on top of my body. Put me in the car, reprehend me, arrest me, do what you have to do. But when it comes to the way even our people are arrested, there needs to be a standard of procedure. There needs to be a law that if they are not doing their job, all of that monkey shine when you're arresting me is not necessary. Put me in handcuffs, put me in the car, and let's move on. All of this.
We do top down. We lead from the top down. And when you have a president that says, "Don't be so gentle with them," bang their heads against the doors when you're putting them inside the car, that's your procedure. I mean,
but the problem with that though is just because you're being arrested. Now I can speak from experience. Just because you are being arrested does not mean you are guilty or have even committed any crime. So him saying rough these people up as you're arresting, you're
guilty until you're proven innocent. You have the right to remain silent. That's it.
You're
look like us,
you're black. If you're black, if you are black,
right,
you are guilty until proven innocent. It's not the other way around. So yeah,
absolutely. So you run the risk of basically let's take the counterfeit. Whatever the fuck they're trying to say, because first it was like a check, then it's a counterfeit 20, a counterfeit 10. Let's just set that aside and say he had nothing to do with that. He was literally just walking out the store and they apprehended him. He was presumed guilty, and they roughed him up as our commander-in-chief says, and they killed this man. And again, let's say he had nothing to do with whatever the crime was. You just killed an innocent man. So that type of rhetoric from our president, not only is that dangerous, let's go back to the top where cities are burning now.
Right. But we know it's dangerous. And the thing is, we've known since 2016 that this man is dangerous.
This is what I mean when I say this, y'all. It's just like, as a young person, seeing the Black Lives Matter movement, seeing what happened, like seeing it be formed, being it was my generation on Twitter tweeting, seeing that we have gotten no progress in 4 years, seeing that every time we go out there with our emotions, they're going to call us a thug, seeing that many people who protest end up blacklisted, can't get jobs, end up dead, FBI stalking them. It comes a way that as Black people, we have to really say, okay, we know this is how we going to get treated already if we do this. It's sad to say, but you know, my family members, when I was going to Howard in 2016, I lived in Baton Rouge, had an apartment in my name. They told me, do not go out there and fight with the Elton Sterling thing, because if you get arrested, something happened to you, you will never make it to DC. You don't know what's going to happen to you when you get even in the police present when they take you because you protest. And you know, we from a racist state. My grandfather went to a segregated school. My mom went to a segregated prom. So again, when we speak about time and change, like the 50-man march, that was 50 years ago, a lot of the things Martin Luther King and them were doing. Like, so when it talks about time and Black people, we are progressing. We are getting somewhere with some things, but with some things, it's going to be a lot of resistance because those people are still alive. These racist people, they still are operating in our space. So my question is to the older people, because I'm sure I'm saying this, but y'all have probably seen y'all grandparents march. Y'all have probably seen y'all parents march. So it's for me as a young person, do I go out there and march? Do we keep marching? Do we keep rioting? Do we keep looting? Or do we try to really go to the political people who write these laws? What do we do? Like I'm confused because I see the rioting and stuff getting us nowhere. Since the beginning.
We do both. No, we do both. We see, and that's the thing. It's not a single approach.
Okay.
It's not just one thing. Because we as a people, even though we are doing different things, we're all doing it for the same purpose. You know, Dr. King marched peacefully. Malcolm X said by any means necessary, but they all had one common goal. We do it all. We protest. As Sherry would tell, we are not rioting. We are vandalizing property.
Right.
Another thing we can do too, though, is for those of us who, like you said, your people said don't go out there and march just in case you get arrested, whatever the case may be. Right. If you can't get out there and march, like I'm one of the people that I can't get out there and march because I take crazy meds and sometimes I'm crazy. But nah, that's beside the point. You can also march with your money. You can put your money where your mouth is. Now,
and that's how I feel about it. So that's like something I want to do. I live in a community, I'm from a community, Vashon, Louisiana, where we still have a segregated pool. The Black children in our community don't have a pool. So when I watch this young boy drown in the pond, and I can go to Jamaica because I went to Houston in the summer with my grandmother, I know how to swim. I can swim in 30 feet. I can swim in the river. I could jump off the cliff. But it's many kids in Louisiana who don't even have simple rights like I can go swim. I can go do this. I can go do that. So what I'm saying is I feel like a lot of us, we the people who can do something like real change in your community, because mind you, nobody where I'm from is really a part of a Black movement marching. Like, where would our people in my little small town even march at? We have to do something really productive for the kids who want to grow up, because the only reason I believe I turned out how I am today is because of the things that was done in my community. The freedom school camps, the summer school camps, the river school camps, the science academies. Those things to me was more impactful to me than a lot of the other things being done, showing the kids outrage, making the kids see trauma already, and they are embracing that as this, they're taking this as their reality. And that for me is something that's hard because, again, I'm telling y'all, I have been watching this on Twitter for the past at least 8 years every day and seeing the follow-up of activists getting killed, activists, FBI, all of this stuff, y'all. It's scary. It's scary when it's like, instead of us 4 years later saying we gotten somewhere, it's like we starting all over. Yeah. And we right where we was back when this stuff happened. That scares me because when you work hard in your personal life and your friend's life to get to a greater cause, and then you wake up one day and you see the news of all of these Black bodies and all this blood being shed, it kind of makes you feel like it's nothing you could do as a Black person to achieve. So it's kind of like, it's really hard for me to really even put it into words as a young person. because you can take it so many different ways. Like you could take it and try to empower yourself. You could take it and kind of feel down. Like, how long more can we fight for this? Or are we doing something wrong? Like what? I don't know, y'all. It's very, like, y'all can probably see and hear my voice. It's very emotional for me because I hate to see it, but it's just like, y'all, what can we do? Because even when we fight, we already know how we are viewed. We already have an ascribed status. When we are born as Black people, this is how we are seen.
Mhm.
So we know when we go out into the world and react, no matter what, this is what they will say, and this is how they will treat us because of it. So then what do we do after that? Because I've seen so many protests, riots, and all of them turn out the same way against Black people. So now, y'all, what do we do for real? Do we keep letting them kill us at the riots? They getting the damn march. They're talking about martial law and sending people with troop gear against our people because somebody killed us. Do we keep dealing with that? Like, that's what I want to know for everybody, like especially the older people, because y'all seen it longer than I've
Wait,
seen it.
time out. Let me tell you something. You gonna stop saying older people, man. You try to act
I'm
like
not
we
trying to
old
say
or
y'all
whatnot.
all old, but I'm
Nobody on here
saying,
old, man.
I mean,
no, I'm
you
being
is kind of
honest because
old,
y'all
but
have seen more than us. Y'all could be looking at me like, girl, you young, you privileged. You ain't seen half the things I've seen.
no,
You ain't
that's
seen half
actually
the
a
things
good
my
thing
grandma.
though, because you're a fresh set of eyes. We like, oh, I'm not sure how old everyone is, but we've seen this shit for quite some time,
I know.
and to have a new, a new set of eyes look at it from a different perspective, because generationally we're not. Well, I'm speaking for myself in my age group.
Mhm.
I'm nowhere near the same as my parents' age group as far
Mhm.
as how we came up, just
Yeah.
generational shit. So I look at things different, and therefore I can only assume that your generation looks at things different as well. And
Mhm.
that's what we need, because there's been so many problems just solved in this country by
Mhm.
fresh, young, new minds. Like you look at the tech boom, look at social media,
Mhm.
Twitter's, the Facebook. Like Mark Zuckerberg was in his fucking dorm room when he did that shit, changed the world with it. So
Right.
young people are an asset. They
Mhm.
they are 100% an asset.
Mhm.
Right, but you
I
know
would
what you
like to
do,
say
and this
that.
is no, go Sherry.
Go
You
ahead,
good?
y'all.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna be 30. So we're gonna be 36 on Tuesday. So yes to
Okay.
the skin.
All right.
But I will say, I
Woo.
think what you do in your community is it's something Cherry and I did. I would tell this to anybody, anyone. We were the people who everybody always asks us every year who you voting for, why you voting for the people. Because a lot of people in our community, for whatever reason, are not as informed on who to vote for in for levels of government for level of
They're
government.
not engaged.
And who we put in office is also very important because whoever is your attorney general, that's
Mhm.
going to determine who's going to charge these police officers
Yeah.
in Minnesota. So that's why it's very important who you have in office and things like that. And one thing that Cherry and I always we passionate about many things, but one thing in particular is politics. And so this year we decided that I'm not going to sit there and tell you who I vote for and why I'm voting for them.
Mhm.
This year because at the end of the day, why I might vote for someone may be different than what Chair may want to vote for someone, or why any one of you guys may want to vote for someone. So what we did last year was we
Mhm.
went around and we asked everyone who was running for office to interview them.
Mhm.
And we asked them questions that was one for the community that in our community in which we live in. And the questions were also about black issues and concerns. And
Mhm.
we interviewed the sheriff. So
Mhm.
this is what happened in our community with these incidents. What would you do better? And we
Mhm.
asked all the sheriff candidates,
Mhm.
judges. Okay, we elect you and judge for judges. This is black people have harsher judges, harsher sentences. Now you have to have your do a little bit of your facts and have your pick, have your information. So what we're gonna do if John and Brian all got the same charges, but Brian got 20 years
Mhm.
and John got 5 years. So what's the issue with those years when the only thing is one is black and one is white? And when
Okay.
you really done, my sister was like, "What do you want?" He was like, "Well, let's talk about race."
Mhm.
So you have to be able to have conversations, but I won't say I do it where people
Whereas don't feel like you're being defensive. I just want to know your point of view. Like, where do you stand? Because sometimes people just don't know. And even if they're older, they just don't know because they didn't have to deal with it and they didn't have to live it. So you have to ask people who running questions that pertain to your communities, that affect your communities, and then hold them accountable to your community. So most of the people we interviewed got elected, right? So now our job is, okay, I recorded you for about 45 minutes or 2 hours, but you got a 30-minute video up on my page. But I have the original content. Now, if something happens, I need to go back and you said this, and this to our community on this date. So I need you to be accountable for your actions. So now you have to hold people accountable for the things that they say, and not just because they came to your community because they was running for office and it's Martin Luther King Day and they need your black vote.
I have two questions.
Sure.
I have 2 questions. Because sometimes I even misspeak when I say I'm not with the movement, and I really mean in the bottom of my heart that I do not want to just be on the front street of protests like that. But my first question is, do y'all think with this we should kind of go back to the original ways of being, like what the Black Panther Party was originally for, just like the programs I had, pouring into the kids, going back to educating your people, just like what y'all are doing. Should we go back to that, or should we really stick with the rioting, the protests, and the stuff? What do y'all feel like honestly, everybody, what do y'all feel like we should really do? Because I'm down with whatever that's going to work for us. But I want us to know, like, it's so many different causes and so many people have specific needs when it comes to the Black community. What should we do? Because a lot of our needs aren't met outside of just police brutality. We going through coronavirus right now, and mostly Black people getting to the hospital and dying. It's a lot of problems that we as Black people face. So what should we do?
I think different people should do different things because we all have our strengths, we all have our weaknesses, we're all good. I might be great at something that Ann sucks at, which is often the case. I might be bad at something that Cherry and Sherry are actually really good at. So play to your strengths. That's the first thing. And we all know what those are. We all know from I would even go as far as, let's say, childhood. You know what your natural inclinations are. So you know if you're good at being an orator, public speaker. You know if you're good at organizing, like President Barack Obama, community organizer. So whatever your strengths are, play to those. And I mean, everyone has strengths.
That's exactly why when Y'mani initially said what she said, I said it's not one approach. It's a multi-pronged approach. And I 100% agree with what Dan just said. Everybody has something that they can do. Everybody has a role that they can play. We all do. Your role might not be marching, but you just graduated with a degree. And your degree is going to lead to you meeting people. And
what's your degree in?
Chemical engineering.
Can you explain it for someone dumb like me? Chemical engineering.
So basically,
chemical engineering.
If you're from Louisiana, you see all of the refineries. Those are processes. And as a chemical engineer, we study different ways to take regular chemicals and process them into the things we use every day.
Gotcha.
So all of these processes, you need chemical engineers to refine it and make sure it's running.
Yeah, that equals she's smart. See what I'm saying? So she has a brain. She knows how to look at something, break it down to its base element, and change it into something else. That same process that you can do with oil or another chemical, you can do with a situation.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
This is my second question. Because y'all know the government always has something up their sleeves. I feel like I'm being recorded. I'm going to speak lightly. Do you feel like our people should be out rioting during a pandemic, which is coronavirus, knowing when we get to the hospital, we are getting the least help and dying the most?
Yes.
Absolutely, because good. I fall back once again on what Brother Malcolm said, by any means necessary. And
Okay.
the problem is, the issue is, I think Sherry may have spoken to this. I put something up on my Facebook page today, and I talked about inequality. We have pay inequality. We also have health inequality. So
Yeah.
these people are marching, and yeah, they may get sick, but the issue is the same health
Same.
care that a suburbanite is going to get should be the same health care that I receive, just
Exactly.
because I should have access to that. So that is actually, in my head, one of the reasons why they are protesting,
Yes.
because we are tired. And you said it, you're tired of seeing it. I'm tired of seeing it. We've never gotten a fair shake. It's never been a situation where, and then everybody, and I've said this before, when Barack Obama became president of the United States, everything you heard was, okay, now y'all can't say that America is racist. Guess what? America, during his time, they were extra racist.
I
Yeah.
can name one time that we did get a fair shake, and then what I want to do is I want to toss the whole black on black crime thing in here. But
Okay.
the one time that we got a fair shake was, shout to brother Orenthal James Simpson.
For real?
We got a fair shake that
You gonna
time.
throw that again? Well,
Yeah. So
that is true.
what I want to do is you and I had a discussion briefly today about the whole, like, every time we're out here doing these protests for whatever the case may be at that time, you'll hear a certain segment of America say, well, what about black on black crime? What about Chicago? What about this and that? Black on black crime it's a racist ideology within itself, because essentially what it is it's proximity crime. So if you take let's say you have a 100% black neighborhood and a 100% white neighborhood. Let's take one black family out of the black neighborhood, move them over to the white neighborhood, and then they become victims of crime. So are we going to start labeling those hate crimes? Because crime just happens by whoever's around. And
Closest,
I'm a
right?
former criminal. Like, whenever
Whoever
I would
close.
go out to steal things, items, stuff from people, it would be in my own damn neighborhood, which happened
No,
to be a black
you just
neighborhood.
liberated some merchandise.
There we go. I freed the merchandise. So Cherry and Sherry.
No, not for you. Not for you. We're not gonna reword your history.
Oh, come
You
on
gotta stick
now.
with your history.
Come on. I ain't never stole nothing. So thoughts on
I
that?
don't believe in black crime. I do not believe in black on black crime. As you said, people kill who you're around. If you're around black people, you're more likely to get killed by a black person. You're around black people, you're more likely to get robbed by a black person. Same thing with white people, same thing with Latino people. The difference is that we do have a smaller percentage of black people in America.
13%.
Therefore, when crime occurs in our communities, it seems more because we're only 14% of the population. I think last time it was at 14. It was holding at 14 still. And they're 60 something percent of the population. So of course, when they commit crimes, their statistics and their percentages and their data is smaller because their population is larger. I don't understand it because to me, when they have serial
killers,
killings, and mass murders, you don't hear much about white on white crime, or when it's thrown back, it doesn't have the same effect. So I don't believe in that construct, nor do I subject myself to it. And when people ask me, I ask them about white on white crime.
I'm not gonna tell y'all nothing about no black on black crime. Those were lone wolves who did things without our permission. I don't know those people.
They were lone wolves, Sherry.
Yes, and they had mental disorders. You have to have a mental disorder to harm your own people. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Amen.
They have mental disorder.
Yep, that's my story. I'm sticking with it.
You will rewrite something. Just so y'all know, my sister will rewrite any situation.
Oh, you know what
verbiage is important.
You know what you can rewrite for us? Rewrite Doja Cat's apology, because what the fuck was that?
Who apology? Doja, the cow lady. The cow lady.
First of all, y'all made a famous.
Oh,
Y'all
I
made
didn't.
famous. But what you know, what you need to do is not rewrite her apology. What you need to do is ask Nikki why she quiet.
Why would you ask Nikki why she quiet?
Because Nikki speak up about everything, but she didn't speak up about that number one hit she got with her.
Oh.
So I'm not gonna let me tell you something. I'm not gonna rewrite people's apologies when the person who's on there with her isn't speaking up. Okay? Nikki speak up about everything and anything.
Mention Kim.
If you tell her something, when the people told her that she didn't give Lil' Kim the credit that she deserved, and she made a comment about it. Any and everything possible for her to make a comment about, she does. Why is it that she was quiet about her number one hit? Is it because she was more concerned about that number one hit and keeping it than she was about the true words that came out of Doja mouth on some KKK fan page? So I'm not addressing that. I'm not rewriting people's apologies. You either write the apology, either you believe the apology or you don't believe the apology. You give it or you don't. I'm not rewriting history. I'm not that history.
Absolutely. Nah, I'm with you on that. Y'mani.
You feel like Doja was really sorry?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Do y'all feel like Doja was really sorry?
No.
She was sorry she got caught.
She got caught. Exactly.
I was about to say she's about as sorry as Donald Trump is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that's the one thing about anybody who's a closet racist.
Sorry though, but this is the thing though. Y'all wrong for that because that man never apologized and told y'all he was sorry for anything. So don't use that man like that.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. He is not sorry for anything that he said. And he's trying to backtrack. He's trying to back about when the looting starts, the shooting starts. He wasn't talking about, he wasn't using it in a racist way. He's trying to back. That's the first time that I've ever heard him crawfish. And I'm like,
except for when we went at it on Twitter.
Oh, really? Y'all went at it.
Do share.
2010.
You were blocked since 2009.
Since 2010. It was 10.
Wait, Donald Trump blocked y'all.
Nah, it was 9. It was 9. It was 9. Barack got elected in 8. He blocked me in 9.
Yeah, we had a whole Twitter debate.
Yeah, I just got unblocked when the Supreme Court said he couldn't block people. That's when I got unblocked.
So,
who blocked y'all?
Yeah, come on.
I've been blocked off him since 2009 when we got into it on Twitter.
What did y'all get into it about? I'm curious.
I told him I called him a racist, and I told him he did not deserve to be the celebrity apprentice. And I told him I know he upset that Barack interrupted his show to announce the death of Osama bin Laden.
Well, first she asked that man, did he know that George Bush came out of Barbara's vajayjay is the word we're going to use on this podcast.
On American
Wow.
And do he know what that?
Was he there?
Wow.
Was he there? Because if not, let's not talk about where Barack was born.
That's all I asked the question.
Wow.
You can't like talk all that shit and then be so fucking sensitive to where I'm gonna block you now because I don't like what you said.
No,
like, that's crazy.
We went at it for about an hour and a half. We had an hour and a half exchange, and then he blocked me.
But that's how most bullies. That's how most
even hurt my
react.
Chris Brown blocking me hurt my feelings. Chris Brown blocking me hurt my feelings. I've been blocked by a lot of people.
Oh Lord.
I need to follow you.
T.I. blocked me too because I made a song that said "Let T.I. cheat in peace," and I thought I was really helping him, and he blocked me. Chris Brown blocked me because I told him that instead of he should have been taken out from the community service hours because his concert got canceled in Louisiana. Remember that a couple of years ago he got canceled because he didn't finish his probation for Henrietta. And I told him that we saved his career. I just reminded him that there was crackheads on the corner who sing better than him, and he blocked me.
Wow.
Your account is an account that I need to follow. So at the end of the
calm down. I'm no longer that person. Jesus has killed me in my hands.
Oh Lord, have mercy.
We gonna see. I'm still have to follow, but
I've been
Y'mani.
a lot of people. I'm better now though.
Black on black
I'm better.
crime in your sense, like what's your take on it, and what is your experience?
You
Oh,
asking
black
me?
women.
Oh,
You asking who you asking? Oh,
I was asking Y'mani. I was
Wait,
bringing her
asking me
in.
what's
yeah,
my
we
take
asking
on it.
money.
Black on black crime.
Okay, so I just got dragged upon this. I just got dragged, y'all. I just got
Uh-oh.
dragged to the filth. So now I'm going to speak from a different place of my newfound realization when it comes to black on black crime, especially dealing with the black men. We have to just realize and humble ourselves and not even be anti-black when we see the person that commit the crime against us. We really have to just say, this person did this to me. And you kind of really got to minimize yourself, because it's just so crazy how the system is that even if someone commits a crime against you, you would have to use a force against them, which is the police, to come and get them. And you don't want to be that person that makes somebody else have to go through police brutality. So it's hard, because it's just like, but it's something that we have to deal with. Whatever community you live in, you may have to experience, see, or deal with black on black crime. Hopefully you just can deal with it in a good way. That's something I learned
Who
about.
told you that? If somebody do you something, money, you better call the police on them. Don't you talk about I can't call the police on them because
That's what
I
I
don't
was
want
told.
them to
I
be
am
formed.
anti-black for calling the police on a black teenager. So I can't do it no more.
No, you're
Shit.
not anti-black. You was anti-crime. No. That's a difference. This is a difference. Now we have to pick when we choose. Now we have to be cautious of when we call the police on our brothers and sisters. But if someone have committed a crime against you, then you call the police. That does not make you anti-black. Now you see this. Now this is when people take things too far, because at the end of the day, there are some crimes. Now, there's no such thing as black on black crime. There's just crime. But I do believe that in our communities ourselves, we have to do better as a community in whole and taking care of ourselves and being more conscious of what we do to each other. Now that is true.
Absolutely.
That is true,
Absolutely.
and that is factual. No matter what happens with a police officer and the interaction between a black man or a black woman, we have to also be held accountable for our actions against each other.
Now
That's what I thought.
let me say I grew up in a life
You're not
where
anti-black.
I grew up in a life where I was the one that was getting the police called on me. I had a troubled childhood, teenage years, or whatever. And there's that whole street code, whole stop snitching, this, that, and the other. As a grown ass man, nigga, I will call the police on you in a heartbeat. And if you look like you're doing something wrong, I'm gonna call the police on you. I don't care. I don't think that's anti-black for calling the police on one of your
Right.
people.
If you're doing something wrong, now the issue for me
Shit, if you look
is,
suspicious.
see, and that's the problem. That is the problem. Black people.
Wait, because I know where you're going. I know where you're going.
Black
But
people as a
suspicious to
whole
me
are
is not
always
suspicious to a white person.
Man, no, you think black people suspicious all the time.
I
What you
think you
doing in my
suspicious.
neighborhood? Yeah,
I think you
I'm
suspicious.
definitely. The
This is what I want to say though, for real. This is what I want to say. When it comes to black crime, the way we have to, outside of my personal feelings of personal things I've been through, what it made me realize, we need to work on the systems that make people commit crime. We know where there's poverty, there is more crime. People steal because they don't have. We know the kids really don't have any recreation like what we had when we were younger. No summer camps, no river camp, no 4-H camp. All of that stuff is very important to these kids. An idle mind is the devil's playground.
Right, and that's what that's a part of that multi-pronged approach. When I said earlier about all these inequalities, we have these economic inequalities. You're absolutely right. But we said at the top of the show, we talked about how I call it living while black, because we are automatically considered suspicious regardless. We're guilty until proven innocent. And when you talk about not calling the police, most of the time in most neighborhoods, especially in neighborhoods where poverty, most people are below the poverty line,
Mm-hmm.
They don't trust the police.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so they are not for the most part going to call the police and tell the police anything about
They're
what's
gonna
going
take it
on.
upon themselves. So that
Correct.
means if you come and rob from me, or if you come and
Mhm.
do something to me,
Mhm.
touch my child or
Mhm.
anything, I'm not gonna call the police. I'm gonna come see you.
That's
And
correct.
that's when it just creates more problems within each other because it's looked at as black on black crime, but it's really us taking care of our issues without law enforcement.
Enforcement. That's correct
That's
because
how we handle a lot of our problems as black people. We don't
and
include police in a lot of our problems. We take a lot of things to the streets. We handle a
Mhm.
lot of our problems and situations amongst ourselves. So
Correct.
that just made me realizing and talking to y'all just now, when we talk about black on black crime, we do have to remember we are a very militant people and we do handle things amongst ourselves most of the time. We handle things within our families most of the times. We have problems
Mhm.
in our families. We handle even people have marital problems for years. The family will never even know. As black people, we normally keep most things in house. Our problems, our struggles, and even our crimes.
That's
So
right because we can't trust a society that does not see us for us. You know,
mm-hmm,
we how can I go to the police officer who a month ago, or not even a month ago, a week ago, or and the week before that, and the week before that, and the week before that, they're constantly harassing me. I'm constantly being stopped and asked questions and said, "Oh, you know, today's your lucky day," or this and that. How can I then, if something happens to me, how can I then call that police officer to try to get some kind of action from them? I don't trust you because you are constantly harassing me. So
mm-hmm.
you're right.
That's
We
let me jump in real quick because Kenneth Walker, right? The Breonna Taylor's boyfriend who
Yep.
all charges got dropped. He
Mm-hmm.
still has to live in that, well, he doesn't have to, but I'm pretty sure he still has to live
His social
in
media, his face
Louisville.
is marked. All those police officers will know exactly who he is.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. So the day he picks up the phone, 911, someone's trying to rob me, someone's trying to whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Psh, they, mistaken identity. We
Right.
thought
Correct.
you were the criminal.
The correct. Absolutely right. So like that is the thing. Inherently, black people do not trust authority. They
Mm-hmm.
do not trust police officers because we saw, look at George Floyd. The people that are paid to protect and serve don't protect and serve us.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing. So that whole black on black crime thing, for
Mm-hmm.
me, as Dan said, it is a racist construct because it's not us killing each other.
Mm-hmm.
It is situational.
Mm-hmm.
And as I think Cherry said, or it might have been Sherry, when you have these serial killers out here killing white people, you know, just picking them off, you people rarely dwell on that.
Yeah.
You don't see that. You don't see that. So
Well, one of the things I like to see, and I mean, this has been a dope conversation, and really,
Mm-hmm.
but well, growing up, let's say a person I know in a neighborhood I grew up in,
Mm-hmm.
mhm.
when they would rob people, there were rules. The rules were, and it's like no matter where you go, no matter what state, whatever what city, no senior citizens,
Mm-hmm.
and don't fuck with no babies. Don't mess with any children. Don't mess with any old people. Everybody else in
Mhm.
between that is fair game. I would love to see that whole thing
But
just.
what about the women? And many a time when the cops him the black men up, and for all of the stuff that y'all, no, I'm not gonna get emotional. That some black men do and put themselves in some situations, it's the black women on the forefront. When they locked all those Black Panther men up and got them all strung up on drugs, it was the women who had to stick and hold that movement together. So a lot of times my issue really is that a lot of times the women really do be subject to crime and stuff. And
Oh, absolutely.
I don't feel like the women should be subjected to that. I understand the old people and the kids, but who is taking care of the old people and the kids? The women. The men
Abs-
are supposed to go out and work and provide for the family. The women take care of everybody. So is at some point the Black people, we have to get a better structure too, like back to our community, back to our roots when we really had structure in our communities. That's all I'm saying too. Because as a young Black woman, I'm 24. I have a chemical engineering degree. A lot of the starting jobs starts with 6 figures. A lot of the people I went to elementary school with, the young Black men, have GEDs, don't have nothing. I would be fighting for them. And in their code, they saying, she got money. She makes 6 figures. We could rob her. She free game. But I am supposed to be the one out there fighting for the cause. What do you think about that?
Well, that now, interesting.
Where
I
does
never.
that put our women?
It does place them in danger. I mean, but it places them in the same danger. And I'm talking lifetimes ago.
Mhm,
But because I'm one of those brothers with a GED. I'm an eighth
mhm,
grade dropout.
mhm. I'm
So
sorry to hear
it's
that.
like, yeah, we do put our women in precarious situations, but the men are also placed in those same situations. So it's like, I guess in a sense they're viewed as equal targets as long as you're not old and as long as you're not young. And then of course there's the, oh well, that's so and so's mama, we ain't gonna fuck with her. But and that's, that's my homeboy's sister right there, we ain't gonna. It kind of gets into that real granular. But at the same time, I would like to, of course, sans saying, hey, no crime, let's not do any crime. I would like to see that rule be extended to no crime against your own people. That would make more sense to me. I mean, like I said,
Mhm,
senior citizens,
Illegal
children, they're off
crime.
limits. You will die fucking with either or.
okay.
But I would love to see that extended to nobody that looks like you. So the whole thing with like crime by proximity. Yo,
Uh-huh.
you want to go rob? You want to go steal some shit? Go a couple neighborhoods over. Shit, they
Mhm,
got more than you anyway.
But if you think about it, for the most part, they do. I mean, they throw out that whole black on black crime thing, but
mhm,
honestly, the most heinous to me black on black crime that we have going on
mhm,
is pushing. We push drugs to our own people, but when you are robbing somebody, yourself, they are going into the neighborhoods of the people that have something that they want. For
Not
for the
the
most for
person
the most part.
the person I knew did
mhm,
not. The person I knew would catch the people coming home from their McDonald's jobs. Like I said, we're talking teenagers. Oh shit, it's Friday, it's payday. Homeboy got about $150 in his pocket. Run them pockets. So that's basically how it went. It was, and that he would not call the police on you, depending on who you are, because he's effectively, like we said earlier, putting his family in jeopardy or his loved ones in jeopardy. If Ray want to rob you, take your
Mm-hmm.
$150 you made at McDonald's, you just left a check cashing spot. Now, yeah, you pick up the phone and call 911,
mhm.
and that is what you should do. But at the same time, y'all live in the same neighborhood. We know who your mama is. We know who your little brother is. Like I said, children are off limit, but
Sisters. Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
let's be real. You're placing your family in danger. So the likeliness of you calling the police
That's
on,
just the toxic part of the community that I can't get with, because a lot of
absolutely
times these are the people that are coddled the most in the community. And honestly and truly speaking, that as Black people, we all work so hard for the things that we have. And to know that, yes, it's wrong, but Ray gonna rob me and I can't do shit because he gonna then potentially hurt me more, hurt me and my family.
right,
And it's just, that's the mentality that make a lot of people that do get money as Black people, the first thing they do is pack their stuff up and move to a better community. And then that community that has all of the Rays are left to be a desert,
right.
because people who work hard for what they have, They do not want to just give it up and live like that. And I feel that because I don't want to call the cops on all the black boys, but best believe I'm not going to just sit and let them take everything I have. I'm going to
True,
move
but then
where I know.
but then that whole black flight thing, that whole move out of the neighborhood into a better neighborhood. In that neighborhood, you're gonna deal with racism. You're stigmatized still, right? Like you are in this neighborhood, and you run the risk of rolling down the street and having a cop stop you, asking you what you're doing in this neighborhood. And if you have a nice car, what do you do? What do you do in order to have this nice car? So that's the thing. I find is we can't go anywhere.
Ahead, but y'all see how me as a young person, it makes me feel like you can't win for losing, because it's like you get in this community, you wrong your people. Somebody might not have as much as you have. You bring a new Mercedes home, it's who she thinks she is. She thinks she better than us. You get robbed, it's, oh, you deserve that. You know what's going on in this community. You better not call the cops on me because I'm coming for your family. You move to another community where you don't have to get robbed no more, but there's so many white people around you. They looking at you like, how could she afford this house in my community? Why is she here? Whatever. You got the homeowners protection people asking, waiting on you to do anything wrong to kick you out. It's just like, Lord, you can't wait for I'm getting emotional stuttering, y'all. Should I just leave the country? Like, I can't deal with America. Like, it's just crazy to be a black person. Because it's like, I understand what Dan is saying with the crime. I understand it's evident. It's nothing we can do about it. And you're right. You know what can happen to you if you do call cops or you do take actions against yourself. But understand that. That's what I mean when I say the movement. Like, we fighting for our rights against the white people, but you can also be living in your community and not be safe every day. And something could literally happen to you. And I have this man telling me, like, that's in the code. They can do something to you. There's no code against them doing nothing to you. But as a black woman, if he do something else to another white woman and then something happens to her, a white person, and something happens to him, then you better go your ass out there and march for him too. It's too much. We have to learn, like, something else needs to be done. Like,
navigating in America as a black person is extremely difficult.
It's complex.
I'm gonna speak to two things. One is the type of person that I knew that did rob people and commit petty crimes in his neighborhood. He was a product of his environment, because had he not become that person that went out robbing and doing whatever else he allegedly did, he back home we got a saying, you food. So it's either you're gonna be food or you're gonna be out here eating. So if I have to choose, I would rather not be coming home from McDonald's with my $100, $200 paycheck, getting robbed, trying to find, and we would see that too. People living in our same neighborhood trying to find alternate ways to get home. We didn't have Uber. No one could afford taxi cabs. Niggas was walking. And the other thing I can speak to is black flight. I left the hood. I straight up, as soon as I was able to, I left the hood. A lot of the people I grew up with, they don't, not openly, but they do resent me for it, because they're still back in the same, like, I'm in my 30s. These niggas still back in the same neighborhood that I'm talking about since like the 90s. And like, yo, I left. I don't go back, and I don't feel like I owe them a damn thing. And that's the thing. They look at me like, oh, you were able to.
You owe me because you got out.
Yeah, you got out. You bettered yourself. So, yo, why don't you turn around and look out for a brother? Hell no, I don't owe you a goddamn thing.
But you know what? Let me stop you right there. That's a yes and no, because we do owe our neighborhood something. Because regardless of what you did, the environment that you were in, your neighborhood taught you something. Your neighborhood taught you something. It taught you what not to be or what you did not want to be. And yeah, you got out, but the problem is when that, I mentioned the black flight, we do forget about the people that we leave behind. We try to distance ourselves so much from these people that we know that we can help. That's the thing, because we've been where they are, and who better to listen? Who would they listen to more? Somebody who has
Nope.
not been in their struggle.
I'm going
They
to
gonna listen to
disagree
you.
off the top with you because
No,
no, this is why I'm going to disagree with you right here. How many rappers, how many athletes, how many entertainers go back to their neighborhoods to get back? Look, Nipsey Hussle.
Mm-hmm.
You fucking get killed if you go back. Yeah, I feel like if I were to go back, well, my old neighborhood is gentrified now, but if I went back to the neighborhood that I left, I would probably get fucking killed out there.
Mm-hmm.
but this goes back to
I paid my
that
dues.
Environment that we come
that
from.
man. No, that goes back to that multi-pronged approach. You can't leave them behind. You
Why
know,
not?
they in the
Do you
military
think
they said no man left behind. We cannot leave them behind, because what you do is create
You create
more.
resentment. Yes, you do create resentment, but you know, like I know, when you are on your plight to be a successful person in America, whether that's black, white, red, Creole, Indian, or purple, we all have the same goals. We want financial freedom, we want generational wealth, we want all of these things. Not everyone has the same aspirations. Not everybody aspires to be the same person. Some people grow up and wanting to just be in a gang. Some people grow up and they rob and say, I'm doing this right now because I gotta eat, but I know when I don't have to do this no more, I can't do it no more. So again, they say all the time, you can't take everyone with you. And it's because although we have a lot of the same goals, which is a house, a car, and financial stability, we don't have the same aspirations of how we're going to get to that. It's a lot of grimy people out there in this world, in your community, people that you know. And it's just sad because I feel where he's coming from when he says that, especially if he's telling you he knows because he's been on the streets with them, moving with them. They don't care about the citizen making an
I
honest
think
living. So for me, it's kind of
I
confusing when it's
think
just like, how could you handle that resentment when you know not everybody is doing what you're doing to make it out?
All right, Sherry, Cherry, because I know y'all want to
Because
jump
y'all
in
ain't
on
saying
this
nothing
one.
in a long time. Come on, come
Hold
into the
up, I know y'all want to jump in on this one.
I think
come into the
I
chat,
think what
y'all.
we have to be
Help
mindful
us.
of I think what we have to be very mindful of is saying about leaving people behind. But I think y'all missed the point. Y'all left them behind, and this is the result.
See, that's what I
And
said.
you didn't realize it. You gotta realize the generation that you're speaking of, that younger generation, you already left them. You already left them. You left them behind, and this is the consequence of leaving them behind because you were left behind. And when I speak of that, is I think we don't realize, but the past affect affect the present, which affect the future.
Mhm.
This generation for Black people is the grandchildren of the crack epidemic.
Mhm.
I'm the child of the crack epidemic. As a child of a crackhead, I can say this.
Mhm.
I'm a child of her. If I had had a child, I wouldn't know how to raise a child, and that child would have been another child, another product. Had I had a child early.
Mhm.
And there are people who follow that pattern. There was the children of the drug epidemic who they they had one foot in the line and one foot out. That's your children. That's your people born in your 70s, that 80 group, late 70s, them late 70s, 80s.
You know why
That's your children. That's your product of the crack.
You know why they did that to the Black
That's your
community?
product of your.
They did that to the Black
I
community
understand why they did it.
right
I
after the
understand
Black.
why they did it because I understand why they did it, and I know why they did it. I understand how it was infuriated in our community.
Mhm.
But what we have to realize is we are dealing with the results of what happened.
Okay.
So how it happened is important. But the most important thing is, what do we do now that it has happened? Because the thing is, we're going to keep talking about the problems, but what are the solutions? So the problem is we have grandchildren. You have children. You have people who had values, who got on drugs, they raised some children or they lost those children. Those children didn't had less values than the ones before them. And then now you have children who have no values. So now you wonder why a 6-year-old can kill someone and have no remorse because he wasn't taught to have remorse.
Mhm.
He wasn't taught empathy. He wasn't taught sympathy. He wasn't taught love. He wasn't taught he wasn't taught the basics of even things about Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have the generation and you look at yourself and you say, man, how these 20-year-olds, 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds just ride around just shooting each other and killing each other over the block that none of them own because they don't know anything beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
And if we continue as a society to say, I'm going to distance myself, that distance is not going to help the problem. That distance is just going to further compound the issue.
Mm-hmm.
And so let me tell you something. I tell people all the time. So me and my sister grew up, for people who may not know, we grew up in foster care.
Mm-hmm.
And so for many years we ran from it,
12 years of foster care. I wasn't doing no another one.
And so when we became adults, we were over being in foster care. We was
Mm-hmm.
over being the foster kids. And so people who knew us knew, but it wasn't something we spoke about. And so this year, we actually decided to give back to a chapter of our life that was fundamental. And it has been one of the most rewarding and refreshing experiences of our life. So, regardless of how traumatizing, well, first off, you got to heal your trauma before you try to take on issues with people. I always tell people that therapy works. And so, you have to address your own trauma, your own issues, because you can't pour from an empty cup, but you have to pour from the cup. And so, when we talk about Black people, we talk about Black on Black crime, we can't continue to run from it. We can't continue to get our education and then we move on and then we just worry about our family.
And then we have podcasts where we talk about the Black people who we left behind.
And then we wonder
No
why
shade.
then we wonder why people are looting and rioting, and if it truly works or if it works better to advocate. To me, I believe every little piece of the pie is necessary, because every ingredient you put in the pie, it makes the pie. And that's any recipe. It takes a little bit of something. You're gonna need your salt, your pepper, your celery, all of it to actually make your meal. And so everybody's, like you said, everybody's gonna have something different that they're gonna bring to the table. But one of the most important parts of it is that we have to understand that it takes a village. And so that's been a theme for me and my sister, has been a theme for our give back. So foster kids, it takes a village. And so we realize that, we realize we can't distance ourselves from where we came from, because what we came from made us. And so yes, we may have made some negative choices. Yes, we may have made some negative decisions. Yes, we may have allegedly committed some crimes. But whatever that is, it all of it put together made us who we are today. And so because of that, we can reach the next generation. We may not reach everybody, and I will not tell you that you're going to reach everybody. But what you have to do is have some realistic expectations and understand that you can reach somebody. And if you change one person mentality, then that means you change the entire family structure. And so
Amen.
I believe that as people, we can't just keep getting our education and then worry about getting shot, because Nipsey got shot because he worried about the block. And either you can look at it, the fact that, man, the block took Nipsey out, or you can realize the fact that Nipsey did what he had to do for his block. And so even though he got taken out, but did he truly get taken out? Because his legacy and his purpose continues even throughout his death. And so we focus on possibly being taken out, or do we focus on will our purpose blossom beyond us? Do we want what we want to embed in people to last beyond us? Do we want it to be instilled in our children's children, their children, their friends? And so it makes it important to give back to people who may seem that they will take it for granted or they will not understand it.
Yes, because what people realize is Hershey made a candy bar that now his great grandchildren profit off of. But he didn't know that at the time.
Yeah.
Right? And now every generation get a piece of the pie. So, but Mr. Hershey had only 5 kids, and now you look at it now, it's like 100+ people profit off of Hershey. They live off of it. They don't have to go to work. They live off of it. So all you have to do is think about in your community, who can you affect change in that then affects their household. Sometimes we think we got to take the whole community. You don't have to take the whole community. Take one person. Who one person can you change their life? Can you help one teenage young girl who's younger than you? She may be a single mother, but you take her under your wings. If you help her, then she betters her children's lives.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's take Dan. Dan, you had your life, you lived it. Okay, I take one young man who
Damn, I ain't dead.
Sorry. You take one young you take one young man who may be, you know, you see some purpose in him. He not on the right track, but you see that he got a potential, right?
Mm-hmm.
You see he got potential. You work with him, and now he's a better father to his children, and then his children, and then we'll tell you something. You may not be the person who take back the block, but he may be the person you help may be the one who take care of everybody with them. One thing about my pastor always talk about him being a drug dealer. Don't judge my man of God, okay? Don't judge my man of God. But one thing about him, he would tell you is he got saved and then saved all his friends.
Right.
He the one who got saved. Somebody saved him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he turned around and saved 10 plus people. And they all became, they all left the life. So you may not be the person who is designated to save the hood because that's not your purpose. You got to know what your purpose is.
Right.
That's what I have to tell people. Understand what your purpose is and what your strengths are. Your purpose may not be to save the hood. That's not what there were plenty of civil rights activists and leaders, but there was only a Medgar and a Martin. Remember that. Medgar, Martin, and Malcolm. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
But there were plenty of people who tried along the way. But there was Medgar, Malcolm, and Martin. That's it.
Right.
And there were other people who were team players. There's other people. Sometimes you just want a participation trophy. Everybody don't need to be a leader. It's okay to be a father.
Let's not forget the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Yes, but Kiki and Malcolm. But I'm not gonna debate that with y'all. Y'all can have that conversation.
I just like saying his name.
You would debate that with him. You would debate that with him because me, nah, bro.
I'm not doing. I said who I said.
Farrakhan is too.
You add who you add. You have your people. I can't forget the black. I'm not gonna forget your Harriet Tubmans and stuff like that. But I'm just saying that people have places in history and throughout things. So you have to realize where you're playing in the game. I love sports, and one thing I love that every time in every decade they have their favorite player. Like right now is LeBron timeline. LeBron is probably the best of all time, but you have people for. Don't be a hater, Jesus. The Lord don't like you. The Lord don't like hateration. But what you got to realize, he's not. He's known as the king of the court right now. But there's still other players. There's still Clay. There's still Stephen Curry. You understand what I'm saying? So you have to realize that, and we have to do what we can to affect change within our community. And I think we have to be strategic. If you're not a mentor, don't be a mentor. But if you make a little money, you make 100, you make a good figure, buy a piece of property that they selling that's depleted. Buy some property, rehab that house, put a single mother in that home, or put a single, a man in that home, a single family. So and make it affordable. Give them some affordable rent. Do things like that. That's what changes the neighborhood. That's what changes mentalities. And I think when we start thinking outside of the box, when we start thinking about outside of conferences and meetings and things like that, but do little things. If you can, you're young, you're smart. Get together, get with your friends, get an investment group together. Buy back the block. Get some equity. Teach some young children about marketing and stocks and bonds and the difference between a short trade and a long-time trade. Teach them something beyond what we know about what we now know are ways in which our counterparts have been able to be successful.
Grow generational wealth.
Wealth. Teach our people the importance of having something just as simple as life insurance. You understand what I'm saying?
The one thing with the buying back the block and buying land and stuff like that ship has sailed, because when you look at when they started back in let's just go back to the 50s, 60s, 70s, they were buying these single family homes, big lots for $20,000, $30,000, keeping it in the family for generate. Those houses now are worth $4, $5, $6, $700,000. For instance, my grandmother, she bought her house in the 70s for $30,000. It's worth damn near $1 million now.
Wow.
So now it's like my generation, and Y'mani, I'm pretty sure being in DC, you are familiar with the cost of living up there.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't stand a chance. I couldn't buy shit. That's why I'm in Louisiana now, because I couldn't buy shit in DC. So we were
Oh, is
basically
that
pushed
hard?
out. What's that?
Y'all,
I
I am
don't know about
20. I
Louisiana
just
real
turned
estate.
24 and I paid $1,400 in rent. As a college student, I was paying $1,400 in rent.
And that's cheap in DC.
That's cheap for some people. I paid them less amount of rent than all my friends. I have friends 22 years old paying $1,800 a month in rent.
Oh, I need a room.
Howard is selling our dorms, so we have to go out and rent if you want to stay in school. So a lot of
Wait,
this
what's the reason
y'all,
for
is systemic. It's systemic. It's very systemic.
They're trying to get rid of Howard, like all those surrounding neighborhoods. What's Howard on, Georgia?
Mm-hmm.
So like the surrounding neighborhoods, that used to be an entirely black neighborhood.
LaDroit, all of that, the whole show.
Right.
Yeah,
And
but
now these gentrifiers are coming in, and they're slowly like closing in on the university to the point where at some
guess
point,
what? You're talking about they're trying to get rid of them. Do you know that this pandemic might actually accomplish that? Because think about the fact, even this is a sidebar, but it's relevant. Think about endowments that HBCUs have, as opposed to universities like Harvard and Yale and Princeton. HBCUs don't have the deep pockets that these other universities have. So, because enrollment is down and these students can't be on campus and put their dorm money into these colleges, like I said, this pandemic may do what gentrification couldn't. There are a lot of HBCUs that are not going to survive.
That could be the case. So let me just leave with this, and we'll get everyone's final thoughts. Like I said, it's been a real dope conversation just to hear different people's points of views. What was the dude? Bob Johnson? Prayer line.
Shut up.
What was the dude's name? Bob Johnson, the one that paid all the tuition, the student loans.
Oh, his last name was Smith.
Smith.
Wait, was it? I thought no. His last name was Smith.
It's Robert Smith.
Robert Smith. Okay. People like him, I need to know where the fuck he is at now. Like that was a huge thing, and a lot of people had problems with the way he did it. Like, you could have shut the fuck up and paid it, but now you wanted to make it all about you. Now, that's not necessarily what I'm saying, but that's what some people are saying. But
right, but that
where's he at now?
He was trying to force other people to do what he did. That's why that is actually why he said it. It's like, hey, I am doing this. Now you do
put
it
up
too.
or shut
Pay
up.
it
Yeah.
forward.
Well,
right.
I need to see people like him.
He got somebody to do it though. He got somebody to do it because the person did Spelman this year. His protege did Spelman, a black guy. What was his name? I forgot his name. But he paid off the tuition of Spelman's graduating class of this year. And a white guy, he did it in either Chicago or Detroit. He went to the high school. And he paid for every senior. He's gonna pay for their 4 years of education.
That's dope. But where are these people now? These are the people we need to hear from now. Like,
he did something. Don't quote me because I saw him in the news about something about the pandemic. I'm not sure what it was because I didn't read it. But he did come across as a headline for something concerning the pandemic. I think it was something in the healthcare realm. He was doing something about he was trying to do something about the high death rate of African Americans. So I don't
Right.
remember exactly what he was doing, but he was doing something. It was pandemic wise though.
Right. See, I'm talking more in the lines of social justice. That's
I
when a
know
lot
you're
of
right.
our most affluent people in our community tend to be the most quiet.
True,
Well,
because
now you know
where's
now here's Oprah.
where's Oprah? Look, I was just about to say, where's Oprah?
Y'all know she not commenting.
Hmm.
Where's Will Smith?
So that's my final thought, and
He told y'all that Will Smith came out and he got crucified for it, but he came out, he came out and Beyonce came out too.
oh yeah,
That was surprising about Beyonce. I'm not. Beyonce is very vocal. She just do
yeah,
it
she
different.
is.
Hmm.
So closing thoughts,
All
Sherry and
right,
Cherry.
final thoughts. Final thoughts.
Great conversation. Great conversation. I think that you silly. I think what we have to do is we have to realize that whatever approach that we take, it has to be. I think we have to stop being reactive and start being proactive. One thing I like about football is I like to have the ball in my hand. If you talk to some of the greatest quarterbacks, they want to have the ball in their hand. They want to win a game. So we have to start being more strategic. I'm not going to say rioting is not the thing to do because I won't tell people how to react, but I'm gonna tell them to start being more strategic in how they react. You have to be strategic. And being mindful of your verbiage. Be mindful of your verbiage. Be strategic. I think this should have been planned out differently. Me personally, I would have been at the state capitol like the people who went up there a few weeks ago. I would have did. I wouldn't be out at nighttime. I'll be out in the daytime because we ain't working anyway. Most people not working. Let's just say that most people not working.
Mhm.
So go out in the daytime, show up, show out, be in the state capitol, make your voices heard. I'm not saying that I'm not saying what's going on now isn't being done right, but if I'm listening to the news in the background and cities are popping off and things are being done, and I think sometimes
Yeah, they burned CNN Center. Like, see, and this is the problem. I'm sorry I cut you off, but this is the problem when violence begets violence. They see one city starts burning. Okay, they burned Minneapolis. All right, let's start burning LA. Let's start burning New York. Let's start burning DC. Let's start. So for me, throughout this whole thing, I said multi-pronged approach. I believe in protest. I believe in marching. I believe in that because that's the only time that our voices truly gets heard. We do go to the ballot box. There is something in that. But angry black angry black people get heard. That's when we get heard. We're not really heard in today's society. We're not really heard when we take the mic and we say, this hurts us, and
Mhm.
we feel badly about this. But when we march and we protest, we're heard. So I'm all for that because when we protest, it's a mob and we're thugs and we're violent. But protest is the foundation that this country was built on.
Yes.
Hashtag the Boston Tea Party. That was an angry mob. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
The American Revolution. That was a protest. That was an angry mob. But it was a bunch of white people, so it was okay.
Charlottesville.
You know,
I would like to say that I don't think the Pilgrims asked the Indians to politely move. So I'm just saying. So I think that you gotta, but you also have to
right.
realize that you have to be very strategic in what you do and how you do it. I think things sometimes need to be planned out. Whether you could say Martin was wrong or not, he planned his protest precisely for the reactions in which he got for the
Mhm.
maximum benefit of his people. And
Right.
I think we have to be very strategic. And I'm see right now I'm in my life, my time of my life where I'm learning that there's some people who want to see this happen. And sometimes we can't always give people what they want or what they expect of us. So sometimes we gotta give them something different. But I will say this: I do believe they didn't realize it would go to this extreme.
Yeah.
I didn't even
You know,
realize
that's
it.
my thing. My thing about it is, like I said earlier, I struggle with rioting because who's gonna rebuild our communities after it's over? Insurance gonna only pay out so much if they have insurance. And my mom always told me, don't break up your own stuff. She did. Don't tear up your own house.
True.
And so that's my struggle,
True.
tearing up your own community.
Y'mani, any last thoughts?
Okay, so my final thoughts is I think y'all definitely informed me with some things about just different ways of being proactive and how to be proactive. I definitely do agree that people can march, people can do different things because, of course, the marching is what brings the media. That what brings attention to the movement.
Mm-hmm.
However, when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to actual looting, though, y'all are right. Like people, they do destroy Black businesses during this time when a lot of these businesses already aren't getting relief during coronavirus, struggling to get these government relief loans.
Mm-hmm.
It may be hard for a lot of people to get these jobs, especially being at Target, and a lot of these businesses that's being targeted are essential jobs, which do employ a lot of Black people. A lot of people saying F those jobs and everything else, but I think all of us on this live, if those people who have to pay their rent on the first cannot pay their rent because their job was destroyed, we will not pay their rent. So
Correct.
it's just like I learned that when it comes to these times, we got to just do something, whether it's donating to the funds of the people protesting or whatever, but we just have to always be knowledgeable about what's going on in our communities, what we can do to help everyone, because the cause is something that is like happening systemic everywhere. Like it lends, whether y'all was talking about the Black on Black crime, like all of these things are important factors into what lead us to need police or to need whatever. It's just I learned the most from y'all today. I'm thankful that I did get on this call because it was refreshing to hear like a lot of the different thoughts, like the different laws and the different things that they may do. I do believe that we really do need to come up with a standard of how we can be arrested. I don't want no more people kneeing nobody in the back. If you feel like you still have to investigate the crime, put that person in the car until you figure out, talk to the store owner something. But we're not about to stand for people being on the ground, y'all. Like I feel like that's something that
Right.
needs to be in the forefront. Like we really need to tell them, like, we already know Black people are viewed this way. Y'all feel like this about us, but when y'all handling us, when we wrong, this is what we want to be done. I don't want to see no more videos of Black people getting carried crazy. You don't have to do all of that. Put me in handcuffs, put me in the car, y'all figure it out. If y'all found out the bill was real, I can go home. If it's fake, take me to the jail, drop me off, and go on about y'all day. But this like modern day lynching, how they feel like it is, you don't have the right to just abuse me because you're a cop.
Right.
If I'm right or wrong, your job is to show up and bring some reason to the situation. That's something I really think, like, as people, I don't know how, but I really want to fight for that standard of procedure.
Well,
SOP.
You know why I want to fight for that, y'all? I saw a lot of cops try to use that as an error and say, if he would have had his knee on his back, because that's how we train, he had his legs a little bit too close to his neck, he didn't do nothing wrong. It was placement. Well, now let's write it in wording that you cannot put your knee in my back or nowhere on my body, because what if I got a big belly and you smothering me?
Well, the crazy thing is in Minnesota, they changed the law, and I think in Minneapolis after what is his name? Lord forgive me.
Philando
They
Castile.
Philandro,
no,
I can't pronounce it.
it wasn't him. I can't remember. I'll put it out there, but they changed the law, which is why the other three cops, they are likely going to be arrested as well pretty soon, because what they changed the law as far as the police officers are concerned. If you see that like what he was doing was wrong, you have an affirmative duty to jump in and stop him. And they didn't. And because they didn't, they broke the law.
Okay.
Right.
So we'll see them. We will see them in jail pretty soon.
Now, also, in wrapping up too, I wanted to share with the listeners. I kind of wanted to go back real quick and just clarify when I was talking about leaving the hood and leaving all them niggas behind. I do. I 100%. I give back. I don't go back. I don't think I made that clear. I give back, but don't go back. And I also wanted to share a tweet too that I tweeted and had to delete because of a bunch of typos and stuff. But when people talking about the police, someone made a very good point. You chose a dangerous job. Plain and simple. That's the job you chose. If you don't like it, and basically what I said was you chose a dangerous job. If you're too afraid to go to work, UPS is hiring. However, we did not choose to be born into dangerous existences.
Exactly.
What is our alternative? We can't go out and file an application. I like to apply to be white. I like to apply to be another race. There's nothing we can do. So anyway, on that note, I really enjoyed hearing from you ladies, and hopefully we can have you back on again in the future, except for you, Ann. I never like hearing from you.
Of course not.
It's been another episode of Black Law and Legal Lies. Keep up with the show on social media at Black Law Podcast. You can keep up with me on Twitter, IG at I am Dan on Drugs. And if anyone else cares to drop their social medias.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at I Tell Legal Lies. Y'mani, I know you got something. Y'all, Cherry and Cherry, y'all need to unmute yourselves so y'all can give people.
Hold on. I'm sorry.
She said, hold on.
Well, I was out here trying to be a mama and a sister, y'all. I'm so sorry.
All right, tell people where they can find y'all. Because you mentioned the podcast. You mentioned a podcast.
Oh, we are on Facebook at Everybody's Favorite Twins, where we interview people and have discussions about various topics. We'll be starting a YouTube channel soon too. Stay tuned for it. We call Everybody's Favorite Twins. And we are on Instagram, Everybody's Favorite Twins.
All right,
and that's everybody with a pocket. Yes,
I'm not really heavy on social media, but I am on Facebook at Y'mani Wright.
All right,
now,
then.
How are you the youngest one, but on the oldest people's social media platform?
Because I gotta get off social media.
Great talking to everybody.
Get introed, huh? Thanks, y'all.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you,
everybody.
I love y'all. I love y'all. I love y'all. I love y'all.